Oi, gente, tudo bem? Aqui é a Vivian.
E eu sou o Caio.
E hoje a gente tá aqui entrevistando o Tommy Tallarico, que vai ter o show dele amanhã com Videogames Live, 8ª vez aqui no Brasil. Se eu não me engano, 7ª em São Paulo.
Pra quem não conhece, o Tommy é o diretor, o produtor e o chefe. O chefe, ele é o que manda em tudo no Videogames Live.
E é isso aí, espero que vocês gostem. So, hey Tim, how are you?
Great, pretty good. I caught Tommy Tallarico in Video Games Live, so I understood that much. So
That's you.
that must be me. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I just said that you are the man.
Oh,
behind
I am a
Video
man. That's true.
Yeah, that's a...
No, not just a man, but the man behind Video
Behind it
Games.
all.
Okay, I'll take that.
So, are you enjoying your time in Brazil? I mean, you've been here like the whole week.
Yeah, it's been a little rainy this year. It's our 8th year coming to Brazil, and this is probably the rainiest it's ever been.
Oh,
So
really?
little bummed about the rain, but
Yeah, it's
oh
been
well.
raining some time here.
Yeah.
Yesterday you were in Rio, right?
We were in Rio. We've been in Rio the last 4 or 5 days, yeah.
And you had this meet-up, right, with the guys in Copacabana Beach?
Yeah, we did. We've been coming down to Brazil, like I said, for 8 years. And we've played Rio every year. We've played Sao Paulo every year except one.
Yeah,
One
I
year.
remember.
But you were crying? You were crying man tears?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like a little girl.
because I really wanted to go that time because I think it was the third time.
I don't remember exactly.
I remember because it was
2008.
yeah.
Oh my
because
gosh,
I
okay.
watched the first one
Yeah,
and then the second,
okay.
and oh my God, it's the third time I'm going.
And it wasn't
No,
there.
I'm not going this
Yeah.
time. I was so sad.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
So that's the thing. Like a lot of people say, why aren't you coming to it? And for us, I mean, as musicians and as a show producer, I would play in Brazil in every city if I could, every week if I could. But unfortunately, it's not up to us. A lot of people think it's us who decide where we go. It's not. There's a lot of different factors that go into performing a show of our magnitude, a lot of different things. Because it's not just like we're a little 3-piece band or a rock band with 4 or 5 people. Mm-hmm. It's very simple to kind of travel around, but we have so much equipment. And then there's all the lighting, and there's the stage show, and there's the symphony is a lot of people, and a lot of rehearsal, and a lot of music, and a lot of technology. And so the show is very difficult to put on. And so a lot of different things have to go into going to different cities. Some of those things are, first you have to find a local promoter who is willing to, put in money to, kind of get us to the cities and different things.
Like sponsor, you mean?
Well, no, that's a local promoter.
Okay.
A promoter is just somebody who's the person who advertises the event, who puts all the production together, who takes care of everything, from that standpoint. And then there's the sponsor. The sponsor is a big thing. In past years, this year, Petrobras is once again being our sponsor for our São Paulo show. But we've had companies like Oi and, cell phone companies in the past. So sometimes when we've come to Brazil and you get those big sponsors, we've had 5, 6 different cities sometimes we've played, and that's been great. So it depends on the sponsors. It depends on, different local promoters for each city. And of course the Ministry of Culture, is another big, part of this, and they've always been a very good partner with Video Games Live. They understand that, that we're helping to usher in a whole new generation of young people to appreciate a symphony. So all these different factors, come in, and then at the end of the day, we either get, 1 or 2 cities or 4 or 5 cities or this and that. So we anxiously wait by the phone and email and hope that we can play as many as possible. But this year, in fact, this is the first year where we've only played 1 city in Brazil. It's the first year ever. Every year we've at least played 2 cities.
But I saw on the website there's São Paulo, and then below it
various cities. Yeah, because we were trying to put 6 or 7 other cities together.
Okay.
Yeah, even up until, that's why we were in Rio last week, is even up until a few weeks ago, we were still hoping, because last week we played Peru, Chile, and Argentina. And then so from Argentina we flew right to Rio in hopes that even then we could maybe do a show. But it didn't come together in time. Because, we want to do something right, too. We just don't want to do it kind of, half-assed or, we don't want to do it cheap quality. We want to make sure that, it's a nice venue. And that's the other big thing is, the venue availabilities. And, you have to make sure the venues are available. You have to make sure there's a symphony available. So all those things we're trying to put together, both us and we've had a promoter here in Brazil called Connex Cultural. And they've been with us for 8 years. And they're the masterminds. They're the ones who really do all the hard work here in Brazil to get the sponsors and to get the Ministry of Culture and to get the venues and to get the local partners and all those things. So they've been fantastic. And they're really the reason why we continue to come here each year. And, it's interesting, though, because if you look at any band, take any band, from the United States. Do you know of any band that has come to Brazil 8 years in a row?
Not really.
Any band, right?
No.
Let alone the fact that we have this huge, massive production. So what does that tell you? Well, I can tell you this, that outside of the United States, putting the United States aside, because we play there all the time, 30 shows every year. But aside from the United States, Brazil is the biggest country, the most country we've ever visited outside of the United States. Out of every country in the world. And that includes Canada, which is right above us, Last year we didn't even this year we didn't even go to Canada. But here we are in Brazil. So, and we play all over the world, from, China to Taiwan and Japan.
Dubai now.
We play Dubai, New Zealand, everywhere, all over Europe. But we've never been to a country 8 times in a row, except for Brazil. So, that just goes to show you, how much we love doing it. I think it says a lot about the fans that they keep, wanting it. And then so when we when we announced that we weren't able to do Rio this year, there were a lot of sad people in Rio, as I'm sure you can imagine, in all the cities, Brasilia, Porto Alegre, to Salvador, all the places we've always been to, that we were hoping we would come this year. So because we were in Rio, we wanted to do something special, because we do appreciate, all of the people
I saw that
of Brazil.
You announced that you were going to Rio on Facebook, right?
Exactly. So I announced on Facebook. I said, hey, look, unfortunately we're unable to perform. Not our decision, but or our partner's decision. They want, of course, they want to do as many as possible too. But they were unable to put it together because of all these different reasons. But hey, we're in Rio, and let's get together with the fans. We'll meet at the beach, and we put together the exact location, the exact time, and a couple hundred people showed up, and we had a little jam session on the beach. And,
I saw the picture.
Yeah.
With the guitar.
We had the guitar. We had the Brazilian flag. We had we spent 4 hours there. I think about 4 hours there, hanging out with everyone, and it was a great time. It wasn't a full performance, but again, I thought it was just important to show the people of Brazil that we do care, and that it really is something that's not in our control, unfortunately. But.
Yeah, and actually there's a lot of people who wrote about that on Facebook, about how much you do care about them. That's not really common about someone famous,
Yeah. Well, again, I that's why I say to you, there's no band in the United States that's ever come to Brazil 8 years in a row. Not that I know of. Maybe there is, but I certainly don't know of anyone who's come 8 years in a row,
Yeah.
And we'll be 9 and 10, and we're going to celebrate our 10th year anniversary in 2 years coming to Brazil. That's right.
I try to be here, but because I always want to be in the video games live, but sometimes works.
Yeah.
My job doesn't allow me to do that.
Right.
But, well, at least I could watch you in Dallas.
That's crazy. This guy told me. He said he flew all the way from Brazil, from here, São Paulo. He flew all the way to Dallas, Texas to see the show. But why, if we come here every year?
Because I
just want to see it different?
Because I think on that year your show in Dallas was after São Paulo, and
Okay.
I couldn't come.
Oh, okay.
So, because I work in a different schedule, and I said, okay, I have some days off here. I have 2 days off. Where will be Video Games Live tour? Oh my God, in Dallas.
Dallas is kind of close.
Let's go.
So let me ask you a question then, from somebody who's seen the show in Brazil and somebody who's seen it in a place like Dallas. What are the differences to you?
Well, that's what.
Now, because I always tell people, and everybody thinks, oh, he's just saying that because he's in Brazil. But I always say that, you know, in Brazil, it's the loudest, biggest, most passionate audiences, right?
Yeah.
Now you tell me, am I lying?
No, he's not lying.
Can you tell a big difference, right?
Yes. When I went there, I was so happy. Oh, I'm in a different country.
Right.
I'm going to watch video games live in a different place. And then my favorite song is One Winged Angel.
Okay.
And you said, okay, everyone, sing along. And I was like, okay, say it up. And everyone was like this. Like I was retarded. Come on, people. He asked us to sing along. Let's sing along with him.
Yeah, people in the U.S. they get loud sometimes, as you know. Sometimes they get loud, but it's not like Brazil. So you're used to like everything always being up here. You know, and the U.S. audiences, you know, they're more like, you know, sometimes they're quiet, sometimes they get excited, sometimes quiet. But in Brazil, you're crazy all the time. It's great, you know.
Yeah. And I want to show a picture of some friends I've met in Chicago.
Okay.
December. Let me put my password. Wait a moment, people.
Show everyone your password.
Okay, so these are my friends. Do you know them?
Nobuo Uematsu and Arnie Roth. Exactly. That's great. There you go. My good friend Nobu, who I've known for many years. And, the guys from Distant Worlds.
Yeah, I watched the performance.
So you flew to Chicago for that?
Just to watch the show.
See, how come those guys don't come down to Brazil? What's up with that? Only Video Games Live, you know?
So I asked them about it. I told them about Video Games Live. I say, Video Games Live has been performing in Brazil for so long. Yeah. So, do you have plans of going to Brazil? Yeah. They said they had plans of coming here.
Well, they weren't going to say no. Let's be honest.
And what do you think about that? Of they coming here?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing for me is that, you know, I've been a video game composer for over 24 years, and the reason I started Video Games Live is I wanted to prove to the world how culturally significant and artistic video games have become. So the fact that there's other concerts that have come after us, you know, things like Distant Worlds and you know, things like there's a Zelda show now that's
and have play video game concert, right?
Yeah,
Arnie Roth was the conductor.
Yeah, he left there though. The quality wasn't too high, I don't think. But and so there's, you know, other concerts that have come after ours, and I think that's fantastic, you know, because there's concerts. Look, we weren't the first video game concert in the world. We were the first touring one, but you know, there's been concerts in Japan since 1985, Dragon Quest. There's concerts over in Germany before us, in Australia before us. But we were the first touring show because we wanted to take it around the world. And so, but as a composer, I think it's a fantastic thing for other video game concerts to help, you know, spread the same word that I'm spreading, that, hey, video game music is special, it's unique, it's beautiful, it's emotional. So, you know, I think it'd be fantastic for other concerts, you know, to come down here. Now, the reality is that all of those shows are very different from Video Games Live.
You know?
As you know, you've seen Distant Worlds. You know, Distant Worlds is more of a traditional symphonic show, which, again, I think is fantastic. It's very different from what we do, but it's a different, you know, so it's great that there's many different presentations of video game music out there. Whereas, you know, what Distant Worlds does is very, you know, it's more kind of highbrow, as we say. It's more serious because the music of Uematsu is very serious, and it's very, you know, traditional sound. You know, they don't have, you know, a lot of, you know, they don't use a lot of like the rock and roll lighting and the kind of the insider gamer jokes and things like that. You know, we like to have fun. I think what makes Video Games Live so different and so successful around the world is the fact that we do a show for everyone, not just for hardcore fans, but really for, you know, for anyone. You don't have to know anything at all about video games to be able to come to a Video Games Live show and really have a greater understanding and appreciation of what video game music is and the whole video game industry. You know, so we don't focus on one game franchise. We focus on them all, you know. We don't focus on one style of music. We focus on them all. Sometimes you'll hear a big symphony with a choir, and the next song you might hear a rock and roll guitar with, and next it might be an acoustic, Chrono Trigger song, and the next one it might be a solo piano. So,
solo flute.
Exactly, solo flute. So to me, there's three things that make up video games. There's the interactivity, which is the design, the gameplay. There's the audio, of course, the music and the sound design. And then there's the visuals and the graphics, And so that's what I wanted to do when I created Video Games Live. I wanted to not just bring the music to the masses, but the whole thing. It was about the whole video game industry for me. So to do that, I wanted the visuals to be also important with the music. I wanted the interactivity and the fun. Video games are fun, Video games aren't, okay, shh, everybody be quiet.
No.
Video games are fun. So for me, I wanted to make sure that the show, represented the entire video game industry. And again, at the end of the day, what's the reason we play video games? The number one reason is to have fun.
Yeah.
So that's where Video Games Live, when people think of it, I want them to think of it's having fun. And they heard great music, and they saw powerful things, and they met people, composers from around the world, and we had some interactivity. We brought people on stage. We had costume contests. We gave away prizes. It's the whole package, And all along, I like to describe Video Games Live as having all of the power and emotion of a symphony orchestra, but combined with the energy and excitement of a rock concert, mixed together with all the cutting-edge visuals and interactivity and technology and fun that video games provide. So it really is, the entire package. But to answer your question, no, I think it's great that there's other video game shows out there, and they're doing it a lot differently than us. And again, I think that's great as well too. So I'd love to see more game concerts come down here. They're crazy not to, but again, it is a very difficult thing, because it's not just like, them going, let's go to Brazil. You can't. There's a lot of things that have to happen. And these are things that we've learned over, the last 8 years. Very difficult, And so there's sponsorship. All those things I mentioned before. All those things have to fall into place. You can't just come to Brazil with a big show like this,
Yeah, and just to prove that, her parents watched their show, and they don't play games.
They came to one of the shows?
Yeah, last year.
Last year, okay.
And they just went nuts.
They went nuts, see? And they don't play video games, right?
No, not at all. But my mom, she said, I remember the music at home. You always play that.
Yeah, see that? There you go.
They weren't expecting for that at all. They simply love it.
Great.
Yeah. The same thing happened my parents didn't watch. My father's like the conservative guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy that, video games for children.
Yeah. Bring him to a show.
Yeah. He didn't want to go, but I purchased the Blu-ray.
Oh, he did? Oh, yeah, the Blu-ray. He saw the Blu-ray, yeah.
And I showed to him, and also to my mom. I used to play Sonic when I...
Okay.
I still
Big
play
Sonic
it.
fan, yeah.
But my first video game was a Master System with Sonic.
The original Sonic, 1990, yeah.
And my mom used to play with me. And when I showed the Blu-ray to her, and she said, I remember the song. Look, it's Sonic. And she was really happy. She remembered. And when I showed to my father that's more conservative, he was, I can't believe it. This is a video game song. And yes, it's from a game. No, it's impossible. It's impossible. I can't believe it.
You should show Skyrim for him.
Yeah. Well, you should bring him tomorrow night if you want to hear Skyrim.
Yeah. I wish he could go, but he can't.
And tell me, why music and why games? Why video game music?
Because they were my two greatest loves growing up. Video games and music. That's all I loved growing up. And my parents always told me that if you want to have a career in something, do something that you love, and then it'll never seem like work. And you have the passion for it, and you become successful because that passion will be there. So, those are my two greatest loves growing up. When I was 10 years old, this is in the late 70s, I'm dating myself now, but when I was 10 years old, I used to take my dad's big cassette recorder, it was like about this big, and I would take it down to the arcades, and I would record all my favorite video game music on the cassette tape. And then I would take it home and I'd record all my favorite home systems, like Atari and Coleco, or not, it was before Coleco, and television and the Commodore 64 and the Apple II, all my systems. And I used to take the cassette and I would splice it together, all my favorite songs, kind of like make a mixtape, if you will. And then I would invite all my neighborhood friends over. This is when I was 10 years old, late 70s. And I would play the cassette back. And I would put on the TV, I'd put my favorite video games behind me. And I would jump up in front of the TV and I'd charge everybody like $1. And I would pick a guitar up and I'd play along with the music on the cassette with the games behind me. So with an audience of like 5 friends.
But it was your first video game concert.
Exactly. So those really were the very first video game concerts ever in the world. Yeah, it was in Springfield, Massachusetts in the late 70s. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean that's been my now did I know 35 years ago that I'd be doing it for real? Of course not. But when you're that old and if you always believe that you can do something, and it kind of like manifested itself, I think, it's two great, my two greatest loves, and I just put them together. I mean, because when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, there was no such thing as a video game composer. It didn't exist, So,
the developers did the music.
The programmers kind of just put it in there themselves, and that's why it sounded like crap.
Yeah. And how did you start in the industry?
Well, when I was 21 years old, like I said, I grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, and when I turned 21, I left my parents crying on the doorstep. I left my family, and I drove out to California, 3,000 miles away, and I had no money, no job, no place to stay, no friends out there, nothing. I just got in my car and left, and then when I got to California a couple weeks later, I was homeless. I was sleeping under a pier, sleeping under the pier at a beach, and I picked up a newspaper, and I saw a job for selling keyboards at a guitar store, and so I went down there the next day, and I said, "Yo, you got to give me a job, and I got the job, and they said you start tomorrow." So the first day I showed up, I brought maybe 1 pair of pants and maybe 4 or 5 T-shirts with me. I had a very small 2-seater car. And one of the T-shirts I brought with me was for a video game system called the TurboGrafx 16, which had just come out. And back then, this is in the 80s, no one had video game T-shirts back then. And now you see them all over the place. They sell them everywhere. Back then it was very rare. And the only way I got this T-shirt was that the summer before, there was a big fair that came to town. And I went there and I waited in line for 3 hours for this new video machine, the TurboGrafx, and I could play. And once I played the game, I had to write a report about, if I liked the game or not. And for doing that, they gave me a T-shirt. So I was very proud of this shirt, and no one had video game T-shirts. Well, I wore that T-shirt the very first day I worked. So I'd been in California 2 days now. And my first day on the job. And the very first person who walked in, the first customer I waited on, in fact, the second person I ever even met in California, was a producer for a video game company that Richard Branson from Virgin was starting. And he was starting it right down the street. And the producer saw my T-shirt and he goes, "TurboGrafx 16, you know about video games?" I said, "I know everything about video games." He says, "Do you want a job?" I said, "You doing what?" He says, "We'll pay you $6 an hour to play video games and tell us what's wrong with them." I'm like, "Oh, this is the greatest." I said, "Yes, when do I start?" He says, "You start tomorrow." So I was in California 3 days, and I was in the video game industry, and that was almost 25 years ago. And And so I was hired as a games tester. So I'd play games, tell them what's wrong, write bug reports and things. But I would bug the vice president of the company every day. So look, whenever you need music, let me know. I'll do it for free. You don't even have to pay me. Give me an opportunity, give me a chance. Every day I'd bug them. Well, about 6 months later, they were working on one of the first games we were working on was the original Prince of Persia, the original one. And they said, needed music and sound effects and stuff. And so I did it for free. I learned how to do it, and it ended up winning an award for best music. And so they said, okay, we'll make you the sound guy then, I guess. And so that's how it all started. I was at Virgin for 4 years before I started my own company.
Looks like a movie, right? Could make a movie.
I know, yeah. At least a book.
Like it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Exactly, Destiny, exactly. Yeah, like the new game from Bungie, Destiny.
Yeah. I can't wait for that.
Oh, wait till you hear this music. It's one of the best scores I've heard in a long time. Marty O'Donnell. Oh, wait till you hear this. So the composer is Marty O'Donnell and Mike Salvatore. Those are the two guys who did all of the Halo music, the original Halo music. Well, guess what? They got together, are you ready for this, with Paul McCartney from the Beatles.
Whoa.
And the three of them wrote the most epic video game score you've ever heard. Yeah, now I'm lucky enough, I'm one of the only people in the world who's been lucky enough so far to hear the entire score. Because we have it in Video Games Live. And it's pretty amazing. It's gonna be everyone's favorite score when it comes out next year.
Yeah, I bet so.
and maybe if you're lucky tomorrow, who knows? You never know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be amazing to play that score?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty incredible, wouldn't it? Played it like a year before the game come out or whatever. I
It
don't
will
know.
be like a Video Games Live thing, right?
It would be pretty amazing if that happens. Who knows? You never know.
We never know, right?
Make sure you show up tomorrow.
Well, we'll be there
for sure.
And we purchased the VIP area as well.
Oh,
so we have
good.
to be right in the front.
Right in the front. There you go.
Tell me, is there like any particular game that you like the most to work?
That I've worked on?
Yeah.
Yeah, Earthworm Jim is a really fun game. I don't know if that's big down here.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves it, yeah. Earthworm Jim was probably one of my favorite games to work on because the team that worked on it, we were like, it was like, I don't know, 10 or 15. We were like brothers who worked on the game, you know. And we had worked together on many projects. We started working together, I think, in 1992. We worked on a game for the Mega Drive called Global Gladiators, and then which won a lot of awards that year. Wasn't a big selling game, but it won a lot of awards. And then the next year we did a game called Cool Spot, which was the 7-Up license. Won a lot of awards for that game. And then the next year we did Disney's Aladdin together, and that won a ton of awards. That one. And then after Aladdin, that's when we all kind of left Virgin and formed our own companies. And then we worked on Earthworm Jim 1 together. We worked on Earthworm Jim 2. We did a game called MDK after that. And the last game we worked on, most of us worked on, was a game called Wild 9 for the PlayStation. Which, if you guys haven't played the game, I highly recommend checking it out. It was the team that did Earthworm Jim. It was the last game we kind of worked on together. So, you know, it was like I said, we all got kind of together, and there was no rules. It was just a bunch of friends in a room together, having fun, trying to make each other laugh.
Right?
Exactly, and you know, and I think the end product shows that. I mean, if you've played Earthworm Jim, it's just a bunch of wacky fun.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a question I have. That's what I feel nowadays, because I've been playing video games since I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a child, I mean, looking back, I think that video games were created more to have fun. And nowadays you see that games are more used to have money.
Well,
Do you see this difference?
I mean, but with the, you know, with a lot of the mobile gaming now, it's completely changed, you know. I mean, there's a lot a lot of the downloadable games are all about having fun, you know. And even, I mean, there's some great games out there like Bastion, Nier, Journey. You know, Austin Wintry, who I know you guys know.
She met.
Yeah, you met Austin. So, you know, those are great games made by small developers and incredible things. So, you know, it's easy to say, oh, everyone's after money and stuff like that. The reality is the industry's changed, though, you know, and I think it's changed for the good. Because, you know, a lot of the games that are coming out now, some of the teams, and I'm not talking about the big games, but some of the smaller games for the, you know, the phones and the iPads and the, you know, downloadable, you know, PlayStation 3 and Xbox Live games, you know, they can be made by small teams. It's kind of like when I started out. You know, when I started out, it was 3-4 people in a room making a game together without game design documents and deadlines and producers looming over your shoulder and people to tell you to change this, change that. You know, so the AAA titles that you see coming out, I mean, they're fantastic. I mean, look at something like a Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, the amount of detail in that game is incredible. So you could say, oh yeah, you know, they're just coming out trying to get money. Well, no shit. I mean, everyone, the reason they do games, you know, at the end of the day, a game like that is to make money. But the amount of detail that goes into that is incredible. Say a game like Red Dead Redemption or you know, Call of Duty. I mean, these are incredible, immersive experiences.
Beyond the Souls that are coming.
Oh my gosh! Again, Destiny, Assassin's Creed 4. I mean, the list goes on, right? And so, you know, for those games, the level of quality and the level of detail and the level of immersion and the sandbox that you can play in is so incredible. So I think that's a great thing. I think those type of games are great. And then you look at the online PC game, games like World of Warcraft or League of Legends and Dota 2 and Diablo and StarCraft. And there's a whole other world of developers. I mean, do you know how many people that Blizzard has around the world working for them to keep that massive game running for as long as it has? Thousands of people are employed to make that, you know, game what it is and to continue pushing the boundaries year after year. I mean, that's incredible. And then, of course, you have the mobile game, right? And all the smaller teams and all the independent studios and this and that. So there was never really a time in video game history where we had so much diversity, where somebody for a small team like an Angry Birds or a Minecraft can all of a sudden be millionaires, right? Because they started 3 or 4 guys in a garage together. I think this is a great thing. So, yes, you have AAA games. Yeah, you have the big, you know, RPGs and MMOs and all those type of games. But you also have a lot of fun, simple, sometimes stupid games. And so, I mean, this is the best time to be around in the industry. And now with the PlayStation 4 coming out and the Xbox One, are you kidding me? This is the greatest time ever.
Yeah, especially Kingdom Hearts 3.
Kingdom Hearts 3, I mean, come on.
Final Fantasy 15. That's what I'm expecting.
Well, let's hope that one's good.
Yeah.
You never know, you know.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for a good Final Fantasy since 8.
I love 8.
10. No, 10 is good.
10 at least.
10's good.
I like 12.
Really? You like 12?
Yeah, I like it.
He's the only guy.
No, don't say. Okay. Yeah, but 8 is my favorite, and 7 is her favorite.
Yeah. I mean, I love the storyline to 7 the best, and the characters from 7, but the music to me in 8 was the best. I love Libre Fatale, Eyes on Me. I mean, it was beautiful.
Yeah, my father used to think that I was sick because I used to take the first CD, put it, new game, and watch the introduction.
Oh,
then turn on again, new game again. Hold the And my father, stop it, Kyle.
So that's one of your favorites.
Yeah, but I think One Winged Angel is the first one.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, because
still your favorite. Yeah. See, from a music standpoint, to me, Libre Fatale is better than One Winged Angel, in my opinion. As a piece of music, that's all. As a piece of music. On its own. Forget the attachment to Sephiroth. I mean, if you just listen to 2 pieces of music, for me, but everybody's different. Everyone, you know, One Winged Angel is you know, one of the most popular songs that we do. But, you know, it's interesting, you know, when we play it in now we've been to Brazil 8 times, so people are like, please don't play One Winged Angel anymore.
Really?
Oh, yeah, people are sick of it. Well, people are sick of it. They've heard it 8 times,
Listening to you play with the guitar, and it was awesome.
But you've seen that. How many times have you seen me do that? 3?
3 times.
3 times! See, don't you want me to do something different?
No.
No! Okay.
Angel again.
Angel concert.
Yeah.
All right.
You can play all the versions.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we'll play a little Chrono...
collection, the orchestra.
We'll play a little Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger for you tomorrow. How about that?
Okay.
That's good. You've seen me do that 4 or 5 times too, right?
Yeah, and it's on the Blu-ray as well.
It's on the Blu-ray. Not Chrono Cross. Oh no, Chrono Trigger isn't on the Blu-ray.
No.
Right, just Chrono Cross.
Chrono Cross, yeah.
So you'll get them both tomorrow.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah,
So that's good.
Yeah, I think I like it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, in fact, still talking about the Final Fantasy music, one soundtrack that I really appreciate is the from Final Fantasy 9. Not a lot of people talks about it.
Yeah.
In fact, I started playing the flute because of Final Fantasy
Oh, yeah?
9. Because the first music, The Place of Return to Someday, the load screen, it's a flute quartet. And I started only because of that, I need to know how to play this instrument.
Yeah.
That's how I started.
Cool. Well, see that? That's a great thing about video games, They inspire people, Even the game Guitar Hero inspired millions of people to pick up a real guitar and play, and you to play the flute. And I get many letters and emails after a performance, and from people saying, from parents mostly saying, we took our 8-year-old daughter to the show last night, and we were talking about around the breakfast table this morning, and she said, Mom, I'd like to start taking violin lessons so I can learn the music to Kingdom Hearts or Zelda or whatever. So, yeah, it's having, it's inspiring people to be creative and artistic, And I think that's a good thing. A lot of people ask me around the world, whenever I do interviews, they say, what is it about video game music that's so special? Why is there a show like this, that lasts for so long and so many millions of people from all over the world go to this? And, I think there's 2 main reasons. The first, as gamers, when we go to video games live and we see the images on screen and we hear this music, it brings us back to our childhood. It brings us back to a time when we were young, like you were saying, and it brings these happy feelings and this whole thing. Another reason, too, is that when you get thousands of people in a room together who are appreciating video game music, this magic happens that you can't put in a flyer on a TV commercial. You just have to be there to experience it.
So I read in this blog that you just can't read music, so I don't know.
That's true. I cannot read music. Eddie Van Halen never took a guitar lesson, or Jimi Hendrix never took a guitar lesson. So I never took lessons or learned how to read music. I play by ear. So when people ask me, who did I study under, I tell them Beethoven and John Williams. Those are my teachers because that's who I listen to. And so when I create music for video games, I'll sit in front of the screen and I'll play the game with no sound. And I just wait for things to come in my head, and then I as soon as they go in my head, I run to my piano and I try to figure out the notes on the piano, and then I go upstairs and I figure them out in a computer, and I have a whole, a symphony on my computer. And so I can kind of play different parts. Okay, I want the strings to do this, and the percussion to do this, and the horns to do this. I'll kind of figure out kind of the basics just by playing. And then I pay people who know what they're doing, and they make me look smart. But every composer has a team of really talented people around him. There's orchestrators, arrangers, copyists. Those are people who just take the music and put it on paper so musicians can play it. There's conductors, there's the audio mixers and engineers. So, it's never just one person who does a whole, symphonic recording. It's always a team of people, and the team of talented people that you have around you, is always, important. You can be a really talented composer, but have a bunch of, untalented people who are recording it and it'll sound like crap. And the players, if they don't play it right, it sounds like crap. If the person who put it on the sheet music didn't put it on right, it's going to sound like crap. If the conductor isn't getting the most out of the people, it's going to sound like crap,
and
right?
And everyone's going to blame you, right?
And everybody blames the composer. See, he's the, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But so that's the thing. There's always a team of people around, and yeah, but for me, I don't know how to read music. Crazy.
So with all these amazing games that was released this year, I don't know if you can answer this question, but which one do you think will win as the game of the year?
Oh, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
More than Last of Us?
Last of Us is, if you're asking me personally which game I like the most, I'd say Last of Us is first, Assassin's Creed 4 is second, Grand Theft Auto 5 third. That's my personal one. But what do I think is going to win Best Game of the Year? Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I wish BioShock would be the Infinite.
Yeah, BioShock Infinite's a great game. And then next year, Destiny's going to sweep everything.
I just can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy.
The ending of BioShock, the feeling I had was the same feeling I had when I finished Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It was, oh my god, I can't believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, congratulations about the Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
That was amazing.
It was incredible, and I gotta say thank you to all the fans out there and the people around the world to make it happen, because, when I started the Kickstarter, everyone thought I was crazy, and we were asking for a lot of money because it costs a lot of money to record a big symphony, a professional symphony, 200 musicians in a world-class studio with the best mixers in the world. And one of the things, I wanted to be very transparent. I told everyone from the beginning, look, I'm going to put down, if I'm going to ask for this amount of money, because this is how much it costs, people aren't going to understand that. They're just going to think, they just want a lot of money. So I put all the budget. Not a lot of people do that on Kickstarter, but I put every line item. Here's what everything is going to cost. Everything. Right? And this is why I need it. And it was actually more than what I was asking for. So I was going to put my own money in too. And everybody said, there's no way you'll be able to do it. And we got out to a great start. And then, it kind of went down, as all Kickstarters do. And then towards the end, everybody was like, we've got to do this. We all have to come together. And everybody from around the world came together. Not just me. Everybody worked so hard and spread the word. And we did so many things. And it was so emotional for me to see so many people from around the world come together and make it happen. And everyone said it was impossible, but then again, everybody told me doing a video game concert was impossible. And when somebody tells me it's impossible and you can't do it, that's about the time my Napoleon complex kicks in, and and I start to okay, good, okay, now another challenge. That's what I'm looking for. So. I just, it's so amazing to me that we passed the Kickstarter goal, and I'm going to do everything in my power to, to make it the greatest album that I can, and it's for the people, by the people, for the people. And one last thing about the Kickstarter, one of the things I said was that we're going to record, we're playing in 4 countries this month: Brazil, Peru, Argentina, Chile. And for the final encore, we're going to record Still Alive, because it's going to be a studio album, right? But we're going to put one live track on it.
From Brazil?
It's going to be Still Alive. Well, that's not up to me to decide.
Okay.
It's up. So what we're doing is we've recorded the first 3 shows.
All right.
And whoever's the loudest and whatever's the most exciting
See, people who are
is going to get on the album. And I got to tell you, right now, Chile's in the lead.
I saw on Facebook.
Chile
jealous.
is in the lead. It was pretty amazing in Chile. So you're going to have your work cut out for you tomorrow at the show. But I'm pulling for São Paulo.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for Brazil.
Wait for tomorrow.
Wait.
And we'll see how loud it gets and how many people sing along. But Chile's going to be tough to beat. So but fingers crossed for you.
We can make it.
Yeah, I think you can.
Easily.
Absolutely.
We do it like our shows.
Exactly.
And you don't need to ask for that.
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask for it, though. I'm going to, just so everybody knows, come on, we're recording this now for the album. You got to be big.
Well, Tommy, thank you so much for this interview. We had such a great time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, we'll be there tomorrow, so it's not a goodbye. It's
Great.
a see you tomorrow.
That's right. Thank you. Thanks so much. We'll see you in Brazil. I totally love everyone in Brazil.